How is it going, guys? It is Blake finally back this week with the G-SYNCH podcast, episode 6, season 0 for you guys. Keeping it going, keeping it moving as we are finally in our, well, this is the last full week of May. And we are about ready to move into June here at long last. A huge month for the gaming industry, a huge month in gaming in general. It is just going to be absolutely crazy this June. I feel like June is the Christmas for gamers that just hadn't come. That it's like the perpetual Christmas we've all been waiting for up until this point. I don't even know what the first title of this new decade was that was announced for 2023. I have no idea what that title is, but whatever it was, whatever you're excited for, it's most likely coming this month. An insane month. I could go on a tangent and list every single thing that's dropping this June, this summer in general, but you know, we're not going to do that in this episode. We'll just talk about everything as it comes out. How about that? I think it's a pretty solid idea. We got a lot to talk about this week, and only about an hour to do it. I'm going back and trying the hour format with these. Though there's a very good chance we'll go a little bit over an hour for this episode, but I would like to try and keep it at about an hour, maybe an hour and change for the most part. No more 2 hour long, no more 2 hour long episodes. Maybe, I can consider doing like a second hour sort of thing, depending on, what kind of format change up I want to make, once we officially start season 1, which is also coming this June. But in general though, I think an hour is just kind of the solid sort of time frame that I would like to stick on. Anyway, to go over some quick announcements before we dive into all the news for this week and into our main talking point for this week, which is going to be everything. Well, not every little thing, but some highlighted PlayStation showcase, PlayStation May 2023 showcase stuff that I would like to touch on. Before we get into that, I want to go into some quick intro announcements sort of things. Not a whole lot of craziness going on my part this week. I think I got pretty much all of the house cleaning out of the way in last week's episode, touching on a lot of the Year of the Dark content stuff, the roadmap, all of that stuff. I will say though that the first couple things on that roadmap, aside from the return of live streams and the return of daily YouTube uploads, a couple of other things that are immediately happening starting this week are my special 3-day Street Fighter 6 sort of marathon stream session, I guess you can call it. This is like the closest thing to a very scuffed marathon that will probably be happening throughout the entire duration of Year of the Dark content as far as the streamathons go. This one was pretty last minute planned just because this upcoming weekend, which is Street Fighter 6 release weekend, I really was not sure if I would be at one of two places, or I guess technically one of three places. The first being work, considering whether or not I would even be able to get the weekend off. The second being Pokemon Regionals in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I did make plans to go to that. And then the third possibility was DreamHack Austin. So this weekend was really... it was really up in the air, or this upcoming weekend, I should say, was really up in the air for quite a while, for a good month. I really did not know exactly what I was going to be doing. Turns out, looks like I'm going to be staying put, but I will be at work a couple of those days, Saturday and Sunday. I will be at work. So, with that said, how's a marathon sort of stream gonna work if you're at work? Well, I pretty much settled with the idea that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday stream-wise will be entirely dedicated to Street Fighter 6, though I will not be able to have my stream running probably all, for all those straight 72 hours. Mostly due in part because I have no idea when my code for Street Fighter 6 is going to come in. I actually pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition from one of those third-party sites where you can get keys for super cheap. Yeah, I do that. It was the Ultimate Edition, so I just had to. There was no way I was going to pay $100 for something that I don't even get like a physical booklet to go with. All digital, $100. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm definitely going to try and find and get that on a discount if I can. But yeah, I mean, part of that is, dude, I have no idea when I'm going to get my code. Therefore, I have no idea when I'm going to be able to like officially start the marathon with gameplay. Second of all, I gotta find time to do the podcast. Like I still gotta do the podcast. I still gotta do videos. So it's gonna be pretty crazy. But what I pretty much resorted to for how the quote unquote streamathon is going to work, or Street Fighter 6 streamathon is going to work, is pretty much the entirety of Friday, that entire 24 hours, I would say, assuming I do get my key on time. That first 24 hours is going to be. The stream will be on. I'll be able to just, when I'm away, I'll be able to keep lobbies running, stuff like that. We'll be doing some of the campaign. Obviously, going to be running a ton of matches. And in addition to that Friday, I'm also planning on doing the first Year of the Dark saga, or I should say Into the Dark saga, which is the first tournament. First series of tournaments I'm going to be running for Year of the Dark. In our first Street Fighter 6 event, since Street Fighter 6 is on the feature titled lineup for that series, our first Street Fighter 6 event is going to be happening this Friday, or this upcoming Friday as well. So that's going to be happening during that first 24 hours of that stream. So yeah. It's going to be a crazy freaking Friday. It's going to be a crazy Friday for sure. And then, stream will go down. Probably go up sometime later Saturday, late Saturday night, since, I will be at work, and try and play more Street Fighter. And Sunday, it's going to be even more Street Fighter. Then that following Monday, we'll probably go back to some other content. But, I mean, for the most part, I'm going to be on Street Fighter 6 literally every single day for at least a month, hands down. Just going to be playing a ton of that game. So anyway, just wanted to fill you guys in what's happening on the stream side of things next week, before we jump into the news for this week, which has been a pretty slow news week, I will say. I mean, a lot of these companies are saving a lot of their big juicy announcements for the Summer Games Fest, which is also happening in a couple weeks, happening the weekend following Street Fighter 6 release, so the weekend after next weekend. So there's not a ton of huge stuff coming out of the woodwork right now, but I managed to scoop up some announcements, some rumors, and some other things that have been coming up this week outside of the PlayStation showcase, which we are going to be talking about very shortly here. But first things first on the news list is something you guys know I'm all too familiar with. Good old HearthStone. Oh yeah, good old HearthStone. You already know. I've actually gone a full month, over a full month at this point. Actually, I've gone well over a full month without playing any Hearthstone at all, which is the least I've played Hearthstone since, I wanna say, is it since August of last year? Maybe actually, probably maybe since October last year. I think probably since October. I did play. I would probably say since November. I played a lot in August. Took a break for 2 months, and then came back in November for the March of the Lich King set when that dropped. And I've been pretty dedicated to the game ever since. A lot of my streams last year, were at least started with Hearthstone. And I've been playing it a ton this year. Finally hit Legend. I guess you could say I finally committed myself to hitting Legend, because it's such a freaking grind when you don't already have a crazy good star bonus. But anyway, that's besides the point. We got an announcement this week for the second mini set for this year. The first one was a March of the Lich King mini set. This one is going to be a mini set for the first expansion of this year, which was entitled Festival of Legends. This mini set is called the Audio Apocalypse, and it's dropping next week, which is another crazy thing to add to the list next week. That's going to be keeping me occupied at least for a couple of hours. I definitely want to get into mini set play before SF6 drops. The official announcement reads: the Festival of Legends has rocked on and on and on for weeks. The local Grim Totem Torn can't sleep, they think, and they have had enough. Now they want to destroy all music to make sure this never happens again. This could be the end of music on Azeroth. This is the Audio Apocalypse. So Audio Apocalypse is launching on May 31st. Consists of 38 new cards, 4 legendary cards, 1 epic card, 17 rares, and 16 commons. Those new cards can either be opened in Festival of Legends packs or purchased as a complete 72 card set. Normal versions of the mini set can be purchased for $14.99 or 2,000 gold. The all golden version can be purchased for $69.99 or 10,000 gold. The golden mini set option also includes a bonus diamond legendary. Interesting. I did not know that. So spend $70 and you can get a diamond legendary. Oh my god. Oh my god. And the announcement goes on further to talk about some of the upcoming cards that will be out on the set. This mini set is actually, I kind of want to say, reintroducing dual class cards, which is something that sort of took a little bit of a hiatus. I think since, when was our last set that had actual dedicated dual class? I don't even remember. Was it Forged in the Barrens? I think it was either Forged in the Barrens or maybe United in Stormwind. I can't even remember. That's how long it's been, it feels like. I can't even remember a set last year. Or last format, I should say. The last standard before this year's standard, because rotation did just happen. I don't even think last standard format had, I don't think an expansion that came out during last standard's format introduced dual class cards, but I could be wrong. But I totally don't really remember. Either way, those are back, so this is going to be a pretty interesting mini set. It's going to shake up the meta for sure. HearthStone, the team has actually been doing a very good job this format with keeping up to date with balance. There have been, how many balance updates have there been? I think there have been like 3 or 4 so far since this expansion dropped. And this expansion dropped in February, I think. Was it February or was it March? I think it dropped in March. And there have been like 4 patches so far, balance patches for standard so far. So they've definitely, like, every 2 to 3 weeks it seems like there's been a patch. They've been been on it. Now, albeit not every one of these patches has been helpful, as helpful as we would like it to be, but I mean, they've been pretty good, and they're at least trying. So definitely interested in seeing what this mini set has to offer. I will say though that they announced a card yesterday, or actually yesterday. At the time I'm recording this, it was yesterday. They announced a card which is going to completely buff my favorite card my favorite card out of the recent set, the most recent set, Festival of Legends. It's literally just outright buffing and making that card good. So I'm already satisfied. It's like I'm not even worried about anything, because my favorite card is going to be viable now, or even more viable. It's not that viable right now. I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10. Now I would probably say it's an 8 or 9 out of 10. With this, at least alongside, I'd give it an 8. I'll give it an 8. With this new card that they announced. So, yeah, mini set coming on May 31st. Moving on to the next thing here, we've got some disappointing news. Now, this one is this was a low blow. This was a low blow for sure. Honestly, probably the first delay of 2023 that really hurts, and I think there's probably going to be even more delays pretty soon. There always are delays. We're in the age of either games being delayed like crazy or games coming out, half-assed, half unfinished, and we get an apology note. We get a twit longer apology note, literally like a week after launch. This one has been a stinger to the MMO community. Blue Protocol. If you guys are familiar, you're probably familiar with this, especially if you're a console player. You've probably seen a little bit about this. It's like a very anime-esque, a very JRPG style MMO that was supposed to be launching this year in the West by Bandai Namco and Bandai Namco Studios. It was going to be published by Amazon Games here in the West, but unfortunately, it's officially getting delayed to 2024. There is no other like more specific release window than 2024. So the official announcement reads, "We are excited to celebrate the announcement from Bandai Namco Online and Bandai Namco Studios that Blue Protocol will be releasing in Japan on June 14th. So that's literally in like 2 weeks. And for the first time, players will set foot in the world of Ragnas. With the launch date revealed in Japan, we have a few updates to share on our plan for closed beta and launch. Our planned release window is moving to 2024 as we work toward launching Blue Protocol in the West across PC, Xbox X and Series S, and PlayStation 5, with continued efforts to localize the deeply immersive stories and build the infrastructure needed to engage in multiplayer adventures and massive online raids against towering monsters. We're working hard to ensure the best possible experiences for our players at launch. However, you won't have to wait to 2024 to get your hands on Blue Protocol. Our PC closed beta test will take place later this year. Interested in setting up, visit our closed beta, blah, 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 blah. Great. Yeah, a closed beta that's probably going to last like 2 weeks. So, yeah, it is very unfortunate that we don't even have a specific release window now other than 2024 for this game, which has led many people to believe that it's probably going to end up coming out sometime around this year, next year. A lot of people are also worried about, this being due to them probably just last minute translating the game over to English, them probably also censoring some things, since, for some reason, all these companies are super obsessed with censoring stuff here in the West. I just really don't get it. It's such a weird, sick, just obsession that just needs to stop. It's like, dude, do you see some of the stuff that's on do you see some of the stuff that's on TV now? Do you see some of the most popular shows here in America? Bro, have you heard of Euphoria? Why are y'all people worried about censoring these games? It doesn't make any sense. Just stop the weird freaking obsession. It's just so strange. If you would stop doing that, we could get games faster. It would be literally less work for your freaking employees to have to do. It just makes no sense. Come on, just cut it out. We're tired of it. We're done. We're so freaking tired of it. So yeah, as you can already tell, I'm really irritated about this delay. Blue Protocol, without a doubt, I would say is the MMO. Yeah, I would have to admit that it's probably the newest upcoming MMO that I'm most excited about. Which is just weird coming from me because I really kind of despise these super anime styled MMOs and games in general, but for some reason this one just, I don't know, it just looks and plays so visually appealing. I don't even know how to really put it into words. Mostly because it's 5 o'clock at the time of recording this, but also just because, I don't know, the game is really actually just stunning. And I think another thing that has me really excited about this game is going to be on consoles, which is going to massively help the player base a lot. And I have friends, people in the Phantom Society community who are console players who love this anime stuff, and I know for a fact they would give it a try. And you'd already know, MMOs are so much better when you're playing with people that you know. I say this as a person who plays most of my MMOs solo for the most part, but it is always fun to play with people. It is always fun to get a group together. It's much more fun that way. So yeah, I think that's another reason why it stings so much. And it's just on top of that, this game is going. I said it on social media when I was sharing my thoughts a little bit. The game is going to drown in 2024. Do I think it's going to be dead on arrival? No. People are definitely going to play it. Even though it comes out in 2024, I'm 100% going to give it a try. It's just that the game is going to drown and miss so many other MMO launches. It's not even going to be crazy. So to kick things off, New World is officially getting a brand new expansion at the latter half of this year. That's also being published, or that's also an Amazon Studios game. We've got Throne and Liberty, which is in closed beta right now, and yes, by the sounds of it, it's not really doing too well. But they're gonna work on the game over time. I think the full launch is actually happening sometime this year, and what many people believe is the main reason why this game Blue Protocol is being delayed. It's being delayed for Throne and Liberty sort of taking its spot because it's more of a ready game, I suppose. So if we've got Throne and Liberty coming out, and then next year, I'm probably even missing some titles this year. I mean, there's also Ashes of Creation, which we really have no idea when that game's going to come out, but I would assume an official beta of some sort is going to be happening sometime. It's probably going to be happening sometime this year, and then probably a full launch next year, I'm assuming. Next year, I know for a fact we have a brand new Final Fantasy XIV expansion. That's going to be huge and probably going to be the main competitor for this type of, anime style MMO. You're going to have to be competing with a brand new Final Fantasy XIV title, which also is probably going to sort of act like a soft reboot for the franchise, considering with this next expansion, the game's going to be getting like a pretty sizable graphical update. I think, a brand new story arc is joining. It's going to be the perfect time for brand spanking new players who are interested in playing FF14. It's going to be the perfect time for them to hop in. So they're going to have to be competing with, Blue Protocol is going to be competing with that. And on top of that, you got the king of all MMOs, World of Warcraft. Yes, WoW isn't doing as well as it normally is these days, but Dragonflight was not a flop of expansion. It was actually a really good expansion by most player standards. And, Blizzard is going to be building off of that and releasing a new WoW expansion next year as well. There's going to be a new WoW expansion next year. And, don't even get me started on Diablo 4, which is not quite an MMO, but a lot of people play it as if it is. That's also launching this year. It's probably going to get a massive update next year as well, probably same time around that 1 year anniversary mark. So it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff that has to compete with. I didn't even mention, the Destiny 2 expansion that's going to be happening. Elder Scrolls Online, I think, is getting a new expansion pretty soon as well. I'm not sure if that's coming this year or next year, but that's 100% happening. I know Guild Wars 2, they've already confirmed that a new expansion sequel to End of Dragons is in the works, though I think that's probably, if not late next year, that's probably going to be sometime in 2025. There's a lot of MMO stuff coming, man. There's a lot of MMO stuff coming. We'll probably hear a little bit more about League of Legends MMO sometime soon. There is the Lord of the Rings Online, the new Lord of the Rings Online MMO in the works now as well. There's just a lot. There's a lot, and, to see these sort of delays, I guess it's probably for the better. Like, you don't want to launch an MMO very half-assed because that crap will die fast. Look how much work it's taken New World to get back on its feet, and it's still not quite there yet, but the fact that they stuck with it, they kept updating the game, they kept improving the game, and even now it is finally going to be getting an expansion. Dude, if not for that, New World would be dead in the water at this point. But so I guess a delay isn't terrible. I just hope that they're delaying it for the right reasons. Please don't be delaying this game because you guys are behind on translation, or because you're just trying to add in censorship. That's just gonna piss people off, especially if it's imagine if the translations and all whatever they want to cut or not cut, imagine if all that stuff is done and they are literally delaying this for Throne and Liberty. Oh my god, that's gonna make so many people mad. So this better launch absolutely perfectly, that's for sure. It better launch the most perfect MMO, better have the most perfect MMO launch we've seen in a very long time, because people are going to be upset, very upset otherwise. But anyway, that's the bad news for this week with Blue Protocol. This next one is a very quick update that came out of the Marvelous Games Showcase, which I did not watch. I did not pay attention to at all, but this is probably the most notable sort of update that came out from it. 2 new Story of Season games are coming. One is a very traditional-esque Story of Seasons entry. And the second one is supposed to be a sort of MMO of sorts by the sounds of it. I'm not really sure if it's going to be an actual MMO, but it's supposed to be heavily multiplayer focused. So this first title is supposed to be having a central theme of experiences. I'm not really sure what that means, but it's going to be a more traditional sort of Story of Seasons title, taking place on an original farm, having that sort of life simulation sort of feel. There was gameplay for it. Let me see if I could pull it up somewhere. Was there any gameplay? Let me see here. Yeah, so I guess there's a little gameplay. I don't know. There is some... What the heck? I'm seeing dragons and all sorts of stuff. I think this has got to be a different game that they announced. Yeah, I think this is like the Project Life sort of... yeah, because I'm seeing Rune Factory here. Here we go. Yeah, so I mean, it really just looks like your traditional like Harvest Moon Story of Season sort of gameplay. I know they kind of had some gimmicky stuff going on with the past couple entries, but I mean, people enjoy them. That's why they're continuing to make these. So they haven't been bad by any stretch, but I guess this one is more of a sort of return the root sort of entry, and then they're doing a future entry, which is supposed to be a multiplayer. And I quote from the article, which is planned to bring Story of Seasons fans together with an ambitious new title where you can play with everyone. That's super vague. I mean, it could just be a simple, 4-player multiplayer game, but it sounds like they're really trying to go with like something a lot more large scale here. And that has me interested because, outside of Animal Crossing, dude, there's no such thing as like an MMO, like life sim farming game as far as I know. It just doesn't exist. I mean, sure, you have Final Fantasy XIV's Island Sanctuary, but I don't even think you could play that with other people. I think that's actually a entirely solo experience, which just still blows my mind. Why? Like, I just don't understand why. So, if they're able to do that with Story of Seasons, basically it's not quite Harvest Moon, but I mean, you could say basically the creators of the whole farming sim sort of, genre, then hey, I'm happy about it. I think it's very fitting. Moving on to the next thing. Persona 6. I know a lot of people are probably really hype about this. We've got some Persona 6 rumors for 2024. And a PS5 time launch exclusive. So this article comes from The Gamer, and they say a reliable leaker of gaming information. I just love how that starts. A reliable leaker of gaming information has said that we can expect the next entry in the Persona series sometime next year. The industry analyst known as Nate the Hate made some predictions on his YouTube show about what he expects from Atlus in the near future as rumors heat up in expectation of announcements forthcoming from the upcoming PlayStation Showcase. Now, obviously, this did not happen. Otherwise, I would not be talking about it right now. During his PS5 Showcase prediction show, it's linked below, I guess, and around the 20-minute mark, Nate remarks that he expects Persona 6 to launch around late 2024. While it may seem tentative, Nate has made decent predictions before, such as about the release schedule of Nintendo Switch titles. So if past predictions are anything we go by, then this one could be reliable. Late 2024 is also quite far enough into this generation that Persona 6 will likely drop the PS4 and be exclusive to the PS5. Definitely see that as a possibility. I will say though that PS4 is the PlayStation 4 is such a, let's be real, like, didn't the PS4 sell so much better than the PS3? I believe it did, everywhere for that matter, in both Japan as well as over here in the West. I don't think P6 will be PS5 exclusive. I think it almost certainly will be on PlayStation 4 as well, just as Persona 5, I believe, is also a PS3 title. Let me do a quick check on that, but I'm pretty sure it was a PS3 title as well. I have to double check. Persona 5, yes, it did come out on the PlayStation 3. So I definitely don't think it's only going to launch on PS5. I think that would be a smart, interesting, or maybe not smart, but that would be an interesting decision for them to make. It would definitely push PS5 sales for sure. I think that would be a huge factor into more PS5 sales. Persona has blown up since 5. And I think a lot of people who don't have PS5s will pick it up solely for Persona 6. I think hands down. I think if there's any, I think Persona 6 is Persona is one of those few franchises where if you were to launch it as a console exclusive, or I guess a console timed exclusive, people would pick up that console if they don't already have it. It's one of the few franchises I think companies could probably get away with doing that with, and ensuring that more hardware sells. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but I think it's probably a safe bet that it'll probably follow the same formula that it did with P5, which is release on the previous console, that being the PS4, and then releasing on the PS5 as well, the current hardware. So we'll see what happens. This didn't happen they didn't show anything Persona during the showcase, so obviously that's that's yet to be seen. But there is Summer Games Fest. I don't know if Atlas plans to make an appearance on that list at all. I need to check it again, but if they're on there, hey, there is a chance that it might get announced. So we'll keep our eyes out. We'll keep our eyes peeled for sure. Moving on, which is the last main news article I got for this one. Main news piece I got. This is a pretty last minute one. This announcement came out yesterday, I believe. And some Dragon Quest stuff, which caught me by surprise. I don't know why Dragon Quest stuff is being announced right now. I don't know why it has nothing to do with 12 or the 3 HD remake that they announced. But either way, they announced 2 new Dragon Quest titles. The first one is Infinity Strash, Dragon Quest: The Adventures of Dai. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with The Adventures of Dai, it's basically the Dragon Quest anime that has been going on for quite a while. I think it's officially over now, but it's starting to gain a little bit more popularity now that it is actively being dubbed. I think the first 50 episodes are English dubbed now. There's like 100 episodes or so, I think. So yeah, I mean, the first 50 have been English dubbed, and they're on like Crunchyroll or something now. I don't even know. I think like they're on like the Microsoft Store. So it's just some weird platforms. I think it's like one mainline sort of anime streaming service that it's on now. But otherwise, like the other 3 platforms it's on are just some very strange platforms. I just don't really understand it. But anyway, the anime series is sort of gaining more popularity. And I guess with that, Square is releasing a game centered around it. I think there is already a game centered around it for mobile, but this one is a console game, and coming out September 28th. It's really your sort of traditional hack and slash sort of game. I guess you could think Dragon Ball Xenoverse. I think it's probably a close comparison I can make to this, though it's only single player. I think it's very similar to, actually it's probably more similar to like that Kakarot game. Dragon Ball, is it just called Kakarot, or is it called Dragon Ball Kakarot? I can't really remember, but it's more like that. Or I guess you can also sort of compare it to Hyrule Warriors or Dynasty Warriors. Kind of has a very similar vibe. So yeah, it's not an RPG from what I've seen, at least. I was watching footage earlier today. Not an RPG, but it is Dragon Quest, and it's Dragon Quest Monsters. You can play as all of the characters from... I think you only play as Dai, or whatever the kid's name is. I forget his name. It's got to be his name, because it's The Adventure of Dai. I believe you just play as him, but your other party members... it's like a girl and this other dude and this other guy, I think. I think there's 3 of them. They're all sort of like your assists, and you do power-ups and all this other sort of stuff. It looks like a very flashy game, and it doesn't look bad at all. Like visually, it looks very visually appealing. I'm just not really interested in these characters as far as the game go, I really want to watch the show. I watched a couple episodes, a couple of like maybe like the first 3 or 4 episodes I watched in Japanese dub on Hulu. It was on Hulu like a year ago, and they took it off. They took it off. I don't know why, but it's gone now. And you know, I figured I would get back to it at some point because there's just so much stuff I want to watch. But yeah, I never got a chance to finish it. And I'm pretty sure if I dug more into it, I would probably be more obsessed with these characters or more interested in these characters. But yeah, it's gone from Hulu, so I can't watch it anymore. But anyway, that's coming out September 28th worldwide on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Switch, and PC via Steam and the Microsoft Store. So yeah, we're getting everything but DQ12 and the 3 remake. Was that not enough for them to avoid those 2 games? Well, just in case it isn't, they also announced that another Dragon Quest game is in the works. Yeah, a new Dragon Quest Monsters game. I'm assuming this means Monsters Joker, but I guess they're the same thing now, or they're considered to be the same thing. Yeah, a new one is in the works for the Nintendo Switch. I know a lot of people like Monster Joker. It was a game that caught my interest when I was younger. I think the first one actually that was on the Nintendo DS. And there have been 2 more that have launched since that time that I really just haven't cared about. But the first Monster Joker game that I saw, I was like, I have to have this game. I have to have it. Didn't get it, but I just saw it as like a very cool Pokemon alternative because, you know, the sprites were in 3D. And at the time, Pokemon was not doing that. They were still 2D sprites. So it was like the coolest thing in the world to me. I was like, oh my god, it's like 3D Pokemon, like on the handheld. It's sick. I gotta have it. And you know, didn't get it. There was Wi-Fi battles too. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. But yeah, a new one is in the works for the Switch, and no other information was shared. Just that a new one is being in development for the Switch. It was very vague. But that's it. That's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for the news for this week. All right, so moving on to some FGC related stuff real quickly before we move on to our main topic for the week. Why do I feel like I talked about this last week? It's just so weird. It feels like I talked about this. Dude, if I swear to God, if I talked about this last week already, I'm going to lose my mind. It would be so embarrassing. But this is coming out. This is actually the only thing FGC related that I have to touch on this week. This is coming out from Bandai Namco. They've got some news regarding Dragon Ball FighterZ in the latest patch. We've got another delay. I know a lot of people are very upset. I don't want to read the entire announcement, but essentially there's a balance adjustment patch which was announced in March of this year, which was patch version 1.32. And it was finally released, announced all the way back in March, mind you, and was finally released on May 23rd. Now, they say that the adjustments will be made based on the playability of the game after the overall balance adjustment made last June. Last June was their last balance update. Can you believe that? As well as on the voices that we have been hearing from the community. We hope that you will be able to take this opportunity to experience both the characters you are familiar with and those you have not used much in the past. We would also like to mention that we are planning on a second round of balance adjustments based on the results of this round. Details will be announced in the near future, so we hope players would look forward to further information. So, sounds like they've got more balance stuff in the works, which is a good thing because once this update started rolling out, I saw a lot of people on Twitter talk about how this balance update didn't do anything. Even made some things worse, I guess. But I think the biggest L that happened was rollback. Rollback got delayed. There was supposed to be a spring beta rollback test for this game. Yeah, I don't know how you How do you delay the beta? Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, this is what they have to say about it. In regards to the rollback netcode implementation, we made an announcement earlier this year that a beta test will be carried out on Steam around spring. However, to further improve and stabilize the experience of the feature, we have decided to postpone the timing of the test. We apologize for the delay, but the team here is committed to delivering the feature in its best shape. So, we hope that players would wait a little longer for further updates regarding timings of the beta. And then on top of that, before I close out with their final sort of announcement, so yeah, obviously this is very disappointing to hear. On top of them not getting any balance updates and the game being in a very bad meta state for a while, this is another huge blow because this was sort of a rollback implementation for this game is sort of a surefire way that this game at least stays alive throughout this huge wave of fighting games. New fighting games are about to drop. I'm talking GBVSR, Grand Blue, the new Grand Blue game coming out. I'm talking about all the Strive updates, Strive Begin. I'm talking about Street Fighter 6. I'm talking about Mortal Kombat 1. I'm talking about, I'm going to say it, Blazing Strike. Yeah, I'm actually excited for that game. I'm talking about when Samurai Showdown gets its netcode update, its rollback netcode update. KOF 13 is getting its rollback update. There's just a lot of stuff. People are gonna have some other options, and the longer your game does not have rollback, it's the worse off it's going to be. So this is obviously very unfortunate. Hopefully they're able to maybe delay things until summer at the very latest, because I just don't think you want to delay things even further than that. Now a lot of people are saying, why not just scrap support for this game, just end it, just kill it, and just start working on the second one. I can kind of see the point there why some people would want that. But I think that the most healthy thing they could do for the community right now is support what they currently have going. People are obviously still interested in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Like, people are going to want to play it. Yes, Street Fighter is going to be the flavor of the month or months for a while. But eventually people are going to want to play other games. Trust me. Especially once Capcom Cup is done and everybody's delusions of winning this $2 million is crushed and over with. People are going to want to start playing other games. So I think they should continue to work with what they got. Yes, a sequel would be nice. I'm sure they have a sequel somewhere cooking in the oven way back there. But I think in the meantime, I definitely think still getting rollback out is a very important thing for them to do. So, hopefully they can get that going as soon as possible. You could take away a little bit from Street Fighter 6's thunder if you release it this summer, but, you wait too late in the fall, you got to deal with another big title out, Mortal Kombat. So, we'll see what they decide to do, but I think, around July or August would be a good time to get that beta out if they can, and then yeah, that's brutal. And then probably, if they were to get a beta out around July or August, the full implementation probably wouldn't come out at least until another 3 months from then. So we definitely could be looking at 2024. Yikes. I understand why people are probably really upset now, because it's like basically them saying, oh yeah, rollback isn't officially coming to this game until 2024. And when you're sitting at June, even though we're halfway through the year, when you're sitting in June, it feels like a full year away. 2024 feels like a full year away. Even though we're at the halfway point, it still feels so far away. So I get it. I can understand the pain. But finally, the last thing they want to touch on was that they are announcing a 2023 to 2024 World Tour for the game. That's going to be beginning from this year's EVO. So EVO is happening this August. So very interesting time to start a World Tour, but it's starting in August. So I think maybe they do plan on getting the rollback out a little bit earlier, but we'll see what happens. So they say, as in the previous season, we are planning to hold a tournament format that will support community organized tournaments. Details will be announced soon, so please join us for this. Please join us in this exciting competition. So, they say the entire Dragon Ball FighterZ team is committed to making the game more enjoyable for everyone. Thank you again for your continued support. And that's pretty much everything for FGC sort of corner sort of stuff for this week. Not too much stuff going on, but as you guys know, Street Fighter 6 drops in a couple days here, and we're gonna have a lot of stuff to talk about Street Fighter wise for sure. So yeah, stay tuned for that. All right, finally moving on into the main topic, our main event for this week's episode. We are going to talk about some of the goodies that were announced during the PlayStation May 2023 showcase that happened this past Wednesday. Wow, and what a Wednesday that was. Wow, I just love getting 2 hours of sleep and then going to work directly after, sitting and letting my blood just chill. Man, first of all, what an exhausting day that was. So because of that day, I got borderline sick, and I'm still actually kind of sort of recovering right now. I don't want to say recovering because I don't think I fully got sick. It's just been 2 days of a cold starting to come on, like the very early symptoms of a cold. I want to say the very early late symptoms of a cold starting, like if I would have let my body freaking strain itself another like couple of hours, or not even like maybe another like 5 hours, I probably would be crazy sick right now. But you know, I managed to rest it off yesterday night. I made sure to get, I think I got like 7.5 hours of sleep. I made sure to get 7 hours of sleep, which, you know, isn't that 8, but I made sure to get a decent amount of sleep so I can really just fight off this thing. And I'm feeling much better right now. But at the same time, you know, I just need like one more sleep and it's going to be gone. But yeah, almost got sick because of Wednesday. Thanks a lot. But anyway, yeah, what an exhausting day that was. But what an interesting day for a PlayStation showcase. Very interesting showcase, I will say. I'm not going to go through every single thing that was announced during the show because there was a handful of titles and a lot I just did not care about. But I'm going to I've picked out some of the main highlights, which is a pretty decent list, I will say. And I'll kind of talk a little bit about each one of them and what I thought. The first thing I want to talk about, because this is one of the more recent things that I didn't mention as part of a news piece on this podcast, and that's the Project Q PlayStation streaming sort of handheld device that was rumored and has now been formally revealed since the showcase. So let's talk about this for a second. So it's how do I even describe this? The closest thing I get to describe this is them just blatantly copying off of the Wii U or the Nintendo Switch, except that it does a hell of a lot less. It's basically an 8-inch screen tablet with two DualShock controller sides attached to it. Let me call them DualShock controller cons attached to each side. So you got a left one and you got a right one. All the buttons on the DualShock controller pieces themselves and the thing themselves act and contain all features that a normal regular DualShock wireless controller contain. And the device does pretty much what we all assumed it would do. It pretty much just streams any game from the PlayStation 5 console, as long as it's over a Wi-Fi connection. So as long as you got a Wi-Fi connection to your PS5, you can stream your games from the console to that device itself. It's really a device, from what it sounds like, it's really a device made just for home gaming. Maybe you want to cut off the PS5, hop in bed, hop on the couch, hop on the toilet seat and play. You can do that. That's what this is for. Don't really know why, but that's what it's for. It's very strange. It's like the Steam Deck being, oh yeah, you can only stream games from Steam and you have to be at home. It's like, would you buy a Steam Deck if that's the case, if you could only stream games from your PC? doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that's what it is. And they did announce that we're going to be getting more details on it a little bit later. I think it's supposed to be coming out sometime later this year, but we are going to get more information on it soon. Obviously, after finally seeing and hearing about what this thing is, I'm extremely disappointed. Obviously, I was on my copium, my all-time high premium copium at that, and I was really hoping Sony was going to sort of cast their die back into the handheld gaming market, maybe actually reveal something to directly compete with the Nintendo Switch, though I think that would be a terrible decision for them. Though I think that would be a terrible decision for them, it definitely is not as bad, would not be as bad of a decision as whatever the heck this is, because I guarantee you no casual consumer is going to buy this thing. Yes, you'll have your few rogue consumers who are going to do it, or your few rogue casual consumers who are going to do it, but your average Joe is not going to be like, oh my god, I've got to buy a freaking tablet so that I can play my PlayStation 5 games that I can only stream to the tablet at home. I'm going to get it. Got to get it for my kid. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I'm not really sure who this is supposed to be for. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I can't even, like, as much as I love, like, new handheld devices and new handheld tech, and as much as I want to convince myself that I'm going to get this thing anyway, I just can't seem to do it. I really just can't seem to do it. Like, I just can't seem to find a reason. I mean, right now, as I'm racing through my thoughts, I'm thinking, maybe playing Destiny from my PS5 on a handheld device would be pretty cool. Fortnite might be pretty cool. But at the same time, it's like, couldn't I just do that on a Steam Deck? I'm not even sure if Steam Deck can run Destiny or Fortnite, for that matter. I don't think it can. But actually, it probably can. Yeah, of course it can run Fortnite. I don't know about Destiny, though. But if the Switch can run Fortnite handheld, the Steam Deck 100% can. So I don't know. Maybe for that purpose it would be cool. But I don't know. I just feel like a handheld device that can only be used at home is just kind of pointless, and it just sort of defeats the purpose of home gaming. Like, home gaming is all about playing on your console, all about playing on the big screen. The reason why the Switch works so well is because you can take it on the go, but the whole thing with the Switch is when you're at home, you dock it. When you're not at home, you play it handheld. So it's just very strange to me. But anyway, that's the Project Q. Obviously, as more information rolls out, I'll share more about it here on the podcast. We'll talk a little bit more about it. But as of now, that's pretty much all the information they had to go off of, or all they really had to share with us, and that's pretty much it that I have to go off of. So moving on to the next thing. This was a pretty big reveal from the show, and it's probably like the top three, probably in the top three of reveals, which is kind of weird that I'm starting with it, but yeah, I should probably get some of the interesting stuff out of the way right now. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater Remake. It's happening. We're finally in that era now where Metal Gear Solid games, despite how good they still look, in my opinion, they are finally going to be getting remade. At least for now. We're starting with 3. I don't know if they plan to do 1 and 2 and 4. I doubt 5 is going to be remade. It just came out. It's still a recent, very good looking title. But 3 is getting the remake treatment first. And, obviously Kojima has nothing to do with this remake because, they completely screwed the guy over. But Metal Gear is technically still Sony property as far as I know. Yeah. It's Sony Konami, right? I'm not really sure how that works, but as far as I know, like, even though Kojima is no longer the producer or in charge of the franchise, at least the direction of it, it's still Sony's, PlayStation's, whatever they want to do with it, basically. But regardless of that, it's supposed to be a faithful recreation of the 2004 original game in terms of story and design. There was a weird symbol that came up at the end of the title, that's sort of representing a triangle, it kind of looked like, which had me a little bit confused on exactly what it was. Like, during the reveal when I was streaming, I was like, wait, what is this? Is this... I was like, this has got to be an older Metal Gear game because he's a younger Snake. So, like, I was like, it's like a prequel. Like, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. I was like, this has got to be Metal Gear 3, because I do remember Metal Gear 3 was rumored to be being remade, or at least getting an HD quote-unquote treatment sometime a while back. It was a really long time ago, I think, but the symbol actually stands for Delta, meaning change or difference without changing, so kind of interesting how they went with that. So yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be some significant changes in the game, but, you know, I guess they want to stay kind of faithful to Kojima's original vision, so it'll probably be a very faithful remake for the most part. But on top of that, they also plan on doing HD remasters of the first 2 games, I think it was. Yeah, so Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1 is what they're calling it, and it's supposed to be launching this autumn, and that's coming first. So I think it's the first, second, and third game that will be arriving this fall. So those are all getting HD remakes, they're getting remasters, and then the third game is getting a remake as well. And I guess if they want to go back in time and remake 1 and 2, they will do that afterwards, or maybe they'll do 4 next, or they'll do 1. Who knows? I think all of them for sure need to be remade, but I'm still very salty about the whole Kojima situation. I just think like the way they went about it with this guy and the way things turned out is just very, very unfortunate. Almost makes me not want to support it, but I'm sure Kojima would want people to, you know, continue to enjoy the franchise that he helmed for so much of his life. So yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, Snake Eater, that is happening. Probably wouldn't expect that game to launch anytime soon. Maybe not until late 2024 at the earliest. So don't expect it coming out this year, because it's not going to happen. But it is in the works for all of you Metal Gear fans out there, and I think it's probably going to be one of the better remakes that we get this console generation. Moving on. This one was an interesting one. I thought it was very funny, but it's also one that I'm really interested in playing and seeing more of as soon as more footage comes out. Foam Stars, the complete blatant Splatoon knockoff, the complete blatant PlayStation Splatoon knockoff. I didn't think it was possible, but somebody is actually Square. They're the ones in charge of this title. I didn't think people were this desperate to copy Splatoon, especially considering how mid Splatoon 3 is. I'm sorry, the game is mid. Like, if it had a better launch, I would be way more of a Splatoon 3 fan, but good God, did they butcher that game's launch. Apparently it's better now. I gotta get back into Splatoon. I gotta get back into playing Splatoon, but with Foam Stars, man, like, I don't know. They might have some competition on them. So this is a 3v3 competitive shooter game, very similar to Splatoon, except instead of spreading ink across the maps and zones and cities, you're spreading foam. So it's a very bubbly title, developed by Square Enix, very anime in style and design. So yeah, if you like that very chibi, it's not even chibi, it's just sort of like blatant, like actual anime, almost looks Korean sort of animation. That, like, I thought it was going to be like a Korean title, but it's Japanese. But if you're into that sort of art style, this might be something you might want to check out. Now, I like Splatoon, so any Splatoon knockoffs I gotta try. I think Ninjala, when it was very early in its lifespan, I shouldn't say lifespan because it's still kicking. I think Ninjala is probably the closest thing to a Splatoon knockoff, even though it's sort of evolved into its own thing over time. Even Ninjala I've tried, so this I have to try now. Like this I absolutely have to try. I got to try all Splatoon clones because Nintendo could be doing so much more with Splatoon, but it's Nintendo. So if a company makes a blatant Nintendo knockoff of a game, I have to try it because there is a chance that company does it better than Nintendo does it. Temtem is a prime example. Yes, the game sort of lacks that Pokemon charm. Like, let me not lie, it definitely lacks that Pokemon charm. But good God, do they do so much stuff better than Pokemon? It's not even funny. So, yeah, I have to give it a shot. So, Foam Stars, no information regarding a date or anything was announced, but gonna keep my eye out on that one. It's another Square Enix title. I would assume if there's a beta being planned, that's probably gonna happen sometime this year, but it's probably a game I don't really expect to see until 2024, especially considering how the trailer looked a little rough around the edges, so I think it needs a little bit more time in the oven, but I think there's a very good chance that a beta for this game is going to happen sometime this year, so I'm going to keep my eyes out on that. Moving on, we got Fair Games, which is another sort of knockoff title. I want to say it's a knockoff of Rainbow Six Siege. It's a competitive heist title. I jotted down my notes. Very similar to Rainbow Six Siege, except in this game, it's a lot more lighthearted in terms of its style. I don't want to call it anime, but it's got like that sort of teenage design sort of style to it. Like the main characters that were in the trailer were a lot younger. It literally just looked like teens, or like basically young adults in their very early 20s with guns. Setting itself to be a little bit more different from Rainbow Six in terms of the actual gameplay, because you'll be playing against AI security, security systems, and other real teams at the same time. So it seems like a much more complicated Rainbow Six game, just having to deal with so much more, like there's just so much more PvE sort of stuff, and on top of that you've got real players that you got to compete against as well. So it's going to be really interesting. I think this is obviously supposed to be some sort of esports title. This is probably something I think will probably show up at PAX somehow, or PAX West somehow this year, and it's probably going to have some sort of showcase, so I'll keep my eyes out on that. Rainbow Six Siege, it was one of the first games that I bought when I actually built my own computer, because I was like, oh dude, this is going to be like the next big thing, Rainbow Six, blah, 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 blah. And then when I saw it was like very high space, I just completely lost interest. I was like, it's too slow paced for me, too stealthy. This game, though, actually does look like it's a little bit more fast-paced, so we'll see how it turns out. But, yeah, added that to my list because I think it's got some potential. This next one here. Ooh, let me get a quick sip of my drink, though. This next one here is a very interesting one. Probably one of the more beautiful, visually stunning titles that they announced during the showcase. Phantom Blade Zero. So yeah, this is a game that I want to say is a very good combination between, is it Ghost of Tsushima? Is that the sort of Soulsborne samurai game that was announced that released a while back? Was it Ghost of Tsushima, or was it the other one? Because I know there's like two. There's Ghost of Tsushima and there was another one, but I can't remember the name. I think it was Ghost of Tsushima. So it's basically like Ghost of Tsushima meets like Demon Souls or Dark Souls. The gameplay, though, looks way more fast-paced for sure. I think like Dark Souls and Ghost of Tsushima, like you really want to take your time, sort of sneak around, try and find openings with enemies. This game is it looks a lot more hack and slash, but they are saying that it's supposed to be a little bit more difficult on the difficulty scale. So we'll see. It's made by S Games. And I'm looking at the article here by IGN. It says Phantom Blade Zero features fast-paced third-person sword-based combat. The game seems to rely heavily on the samurai theme, emphasizing combat and traversal in a dark and rainy-looking world. So yeah, looks very interesting. In an interview, it says that the game founder and CEO Soulframe Liang, is that his name? Revealed that or he described the game style as Kung Fu Punk and bleak and punishing, and a constant reminder to never let your guard down. So yeah, so that makes me think sort of Demon Souls or Souls-like game, but fast-paced has me much more interested for sure. It's a very cool looking game for sure. And that leads me to another title that I actually forgot to put on my list. It's a first-person sort of game. I'm just going to bring it up real quick. It's a first-person sort of game, but it's like, oh my god, it's like you cast spells from your hand. Like there's a character casting spells from their hand, and also and all sorts of stuff like electricity. Like it looked really cool. I don't even know. I don't remember the name, but I'm just mentioning it now because I forgot to put it on the list. But yeah, I think Phantom Blade Zero may have been revealed directly after that game. So yeah, definitely gonna keep my eye on this. No release date or sort of window that's estimated or that was said for this, but yeah, easily looks like a game that's probably going to come out maybe 2024, maybe even 2025. But it already has like some dialogue in the trailer. There was already some dialogue, some decent cinematic sort of footage. So I'm thinking maybe there's a chance it'll come out early next year. But I don't know. Games like these, like they get announced and then like they don't come out till like full years later. So I'm not expecting it anytime soon. So we'll just have to keep our eyes out on that for sure and see what happens. Let me see here. Give me a quick second. I do need to check something right quick. Come on, Windows, work with me. Work with me, Windows. Work with me. There is something that I need to do real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, perfect. All right, we're all good. Okay, so moving on to the next game. Bungie finally announced the new IP that they're working on, and turns out it's a revival of an older IP. I think this was one of their first games, I guess. Marathon. They're doing a new Marathon game. I guess I was too young to know exactly what this is, or maybe I was too poor because I didn't have a gaming computer growing up. But Marathon was a PC game way back sometime, I think like in the early 2000s, I guess, before Halo, I believe. So yeah, very early 2000s, maybe very late 90s even. It probably came out, but they're doing a new Marathon. It's going to be it is the PvP focused game that they've been working on. We know they're working on a couple. We know they still got Destiny stuff that they're always working on. Apparently they're working on some sort of mobile game that is rumored to be something Destiny related, and then there was a PvP title I think they were working on as well, and this has got to be it. For sure it's got to be it. There's actually no single player campaign planned for this game. If you need a quick precursor, I guess, on what Marathon is like, players are in this game in specific, players are cybernetic mercenaries known as runners exploring a lost colony on the planet of Tau Ceti 4. The game's going to launch on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC with crossplay and cross save. So already right off the bat, coming on every single platform, obviously except Switch, and is featuring crossplay and cross save, which is a huge deal. Both of those are a huge deal. If you really want a PvP focused game, if you're really looking to push like that sort of esports narrative, it's very important to hit all those check all those boxes, hit all of those marks, and it seems like they're trying to do that right off the bat. I'm still very salty that for some unknown reason they don't want to try and push and make Destiny be more competitive focused. I think with the right resources and them just listening to the community and the right game modes, they can totally do that. But for some reason, I don't know. I don't understand why they don't want to work to make Destiny be as great as Halo was or something. As far as competitive goes, I just don't understand why they have to go and make a whole new game. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you already have the fan base, you already have the community there. Why not just build upon that? I don't understand why they feel the need to make a whole new Marathon game in order to make something PvP centric. Like, I just don't get it. I really hope I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I really hope this game flops. So they go back and try and make Destiny a more competitive experience, or Destiny PvP a more competitive experience. But I don't want to say that. I want this game to do well, but I'm just a little bit bitter that that this game can't be Destiny's PvP. Like I was one of the main advocates for them improving Destiny PvP to be as esports catered as it could be, but it just seems like they sort of gave up on it around Rise of Iron. Rise of Iron, and when Destiny 2 officially dropped, just seems like they sort of just were like, yeah, this is never gonna happen. So I guess it is what it is, but yeah. Marathon is coming, and keep an eye on it, and hopefully the gameplay looks good, because regardless, I want to try it no matter what, whenever it's ready. Moving on to the next game, we've got, oh my god, there's still so much left on this list, and we're already moving well through the first hour. We may actually end up hitting 2. I might have to pick up the pace a little bit. Moving on to this list, we got Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is actually supposed to be the first. I think this is the first new sequel to Assassin's Creed since 2020's Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I think this is sort of the direct follow-up as far as the timeline is concerned. This one is taking place in a more... No, it's definitely not as far as the timeline is concerned. There's just no way. But it is the latest Assassin's Creed title since Valhalla. I don't think we've had a new one since 2020, I believe. Somebody's going to have to correct me on that if I'm wrong. But this one looks like it's taking place in, like... I don't want to say... I originally said India, but then somebody in my chat said Saudi Arabia. It looked more like, so it's more like a Saudi Arabian sort of setting, I guess you can say, sort of like a Middle Eastern setting. Apparently launching October 12th, so this year. Normally when Assassin's Creed titles are announced, they're released the same year, and then there's like a hiatus period now. Before, we used to get Assassin's Creed titles all the time. It's crazy. But now Ubisoft, I guess they're taking breaks in between each mainline entry, which is good. So yeah, it's Assassin's Creed in Saudi Arabia. I don't really know what else to say about that, but it's Assassin's Creed, so I had to make it as a highlight. Moving on to this next title, this was one I was really actually surprised to see. I'm really excited for. I've heard so much about this franchise over and over and over again from an old coworker. At my first ever job, he used to talk about this game all the time. Dragon's Dogma. Yes, Dragon's Dogma 2 was officially announced, which is like 10 or 12 or maybe 14 years after Dragon's Dogma 1 came out. Yes, Dragon's Dogma 1 has DLC that did release over time, but Jesus Christ, the original Dragon's Dogma came out in dude, that game, I swear to God, that game came out in 2000, was it 2008? I think it was 2008 or 2007. Or maybe it was 2009. It was so long ago. It couldn't have been that long ago. I think maybe 2010 it came out. Maybe. Let's see if I'm right. I said 2008 first. I'm going to see if I'm right. Dragon's Dogma. I have to type it up. Release date. Oh, okay. I was way off. It came out in 2012. Okay. Sounds about right. Okay. Because that was about when that guy told me about it. So, okay. 2012. So yeah, it's been over 10 years since the first Dragon's Dogma, but still, that's kind of crazy though. That's kind of insane. So yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 is in the works. If you guys are curious, narrative wise, exactly what they're doing with that, because Dragon's Dogma 1, I guess, did have 2 endings, it had a good ending and bad ending. Dragon's Dogma 2 is taking place following the bad ending of the first game. So that's gonna be interesting to see. There seemed to be a lot of chaos and tragedy happening in this trailer, so that we saw, and a very evil looking dragon. So yeah, I guess that is just following the events of the bad ending in the first game. So I'm interested, I'm intrigued. I've been meaning to play through the first Dragon's Dogma for a very long time, although I am much more interested in trying the MMO, which if there's a translation or tool or something out for that, I would really like to try it. But now I think this is a perfect time, better than ever, to play through the first game. So I'm going to have to look at adding that to my list for this year for sure. We'll see if we can squeeze it in. Moving on to the next game real quick, because there wasn't a whole lot about this outside of one thing. Destiny 2, The Final Shape, they did release a teaser trailer for it during the showcase. The biggest news surrounding this, Cade 6 is coming back, voiced by his good old voice actor, Nathan Fillion. Cade 6 is back. Crazy. We're not really sure exactly the context of his return, whether or not this is a Phantom Cade, or if it's Cade 7, or if it's Ghost Cade, or what have you. It seemed like, based on the teaser, that both Cade and, what's his girl's name? Ikora. It seemed like they were both inside of the Traveler itself, so maybe some sort of afterlife, which would explain why he's there. But we don't know for sure yet. We just know that, Cade 6. He's talking in the trailer. He's there, and Nathan Fillion, he revealed on social media that he is coming back as Cade. So don't really know to what extent, but we just know that he's going to play a role somehow, some way in the final shape. And then ending the teaser trailer, they announced that an official final shape presentation is going to be happening on August 22nd. Bungie does this every year with Destiny. Basically, I want to say 6 months before they're ready to release their next expansion for the Destiny franchise, they release a sort of video presentation that's sort of talking about exactly what's going to be happening narratively, leading up to that point, sort of the stuff we can expect feature-wise in the upcoming expansion, all that sort of stuff, along with the official release date for the expansion. This is a really big deal because the Final Shape is the final title within the, Light versus Dark saga within Destiny, so it's kind of fully wrapping up everything. So it's probably going to be the biggest expansion out of any expansion that is released for the Destiny franchise so far, including Destiny 1. So, yeah, we're going to be in for something really special come August 22nd. So we'll probably end up doing a dedicated podcast episode for that presentation alone. So stay tuned for that. Oh, wow. I burned through those titles a lot faster than I thought I would. I guess that's what happens when you talk about something that you're actually really, really, really excited for. Moving on to this next one, though, I've got to say that this title right here is probably my main highlight of the show. And that is The Plucky Spire. Yes. If any of you guys know me personally, or if any of you guys have watched my streams, or even if you listen to my PAX East 2023 episode I did a couple weeks back, I have some weird interest in indie games now. I have some weird obsession with indie games that has been growing and festering, I would say, ever since 2016. Yes, it's had its highs and lows, but I think now it's at the most all-time high that it's ever been, and The Plucky Spire just took that crap to a whole new level. My God, I cannot wait for this game, and I really hope this doesn't get delayed, because if it does, it's going to hurt just like Blue Protocol's delayed. The Plucky Spire. So I don't even know how to explain this game. It's a 2D crossover, 2D/3D crossover sort of anime adventure title. I don't want to call it anime because it's not like Japanese anime, but it's like very cartoony in its look. Very similar to sort of the Link's Awakening art style, or the Link's Awakening remake art style. But at the same time, it has elements of a Super Mario game and elements from even the most recent Kirby game. I think Kirby and the Forgotten Land it was called on the Switch. It's like all three of those games combined into one. It has something from all those games. I'm talking 2D sort of platforming parts of levels, full 3D parts of levels, just Super Mario 3D World sort of vibe to it, and that Link's Awakening remake sort of art style, like all that sort of meshed into one. And I can confidently say that outside of as far as non-RPGs go, I would consider this more of an adventure game. As far as non-RPGs go, this is the best looking indie title I have seen in a while. For sure, one of the best looking indie titles I've seen in a while. And now I think this has skyrocketed to top 5 of my most anticipated indie titles or upcoming indie games of all time right now, really, to be very honest with you. The developer is All Possible Futures, very cool sort of company name. And it's coming on PS5, Switch, Xbox, and PC, like I said, in 2023. That's what it says at the end of the trailer. So I can only pray to God that it stays with that, though I know indie devs are kind of prone to delaying things because they really need these games to work and, be functioning on release. I don't think indie devs and companies have the sort of luxury of releasing half-ass games like some of these more AAA developers do, just because they don't have the funds. They're not rolling around in money, and they don't have a first-party company backing them as well financially. That's a whole other thing. So yeah, I mean, if a delay does happen, it's gonna hurt a lot, but I could definitely understand it more so because it's a more of an indie company. So yeah, this one is very high on my list. When I saw this, I was like, dude, this is the coolest thing I've ever freaking seen. I wasn't freaking out because, again, I was running on 2 hours of sleep, but I was actually really stoked to see this game. And it was, yeah, it's on my list. I can't wait for this. We'll be streaming it, or 100% doing a LP for it, one or the other. As long as it comes out this year, I'll be playing that this year for sure, 100%. So, the Plucky Spire, my eyes are peeled. You got me completely interested. Moving on to the last one. Obviously, I gotta touch on the good old everybody's favorite neighborhood Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2 was the last game they showed. Do I really even need to go into great detail about this? I mean, is it really that important? I mean, first of all, let me just go out by saying that the game looks amazing. Okay, the game looks great. I will say that during the time that the original Insomniac Spider-Man game came out, I didn't care at all for that crap. I didn't really care too much about Spider-Man. I really just didn't give a shit. As the years went by, all these MCU Spider-Man movies have come out. I've seen them all, and over time, I've been getting gradually more interested in Spider-Man, which is just, it almost makes me cringe because I used to be a very adamant hater of Spider-Man. Like, I just never freaking vibe with Spider-Man as a superhero. I would say for sure he's still probably the superhero that I just 100% identify even more or less with. And yes, that's both Peter and Miles. But like, I like Spider-Noir the most. Like, I think right now currently he's my favorite Spider person. But anyway, regardless of that, my interest in Spider-Man has grown a lot more over time. So, now that Spider-Man 2 is coming around, I have much more interest in playing the game and going back and playing the first entry as well as the Miles Morales DLC I plan to do before this comes out. But anyway, yeah, let's talk about what we were shown. So right off the bat, they revealed Kraven the Hunter as, sort of the main overarching villain, or I guess the main constant villain, in the game. I'm thinking he's probably going to be the villain that you're going to be dealing with the most in the game. We already know Venom plays a role in the game, not only because of the first teaser trailer that they released for the game had revealed Venom, but also because in this trailer, Peter is wearing that symbiote suit. His suit has been infected with the Venom symbiote or whatever the heck they call it. So, yeah, Venom's going to be playing some sort of role in the game. We're not really sure, like, how constant he's going to be showing up. But Kraven the Hunter was the main focus for this trailer, which is interesting because, they teased with Venom is how they revealed the game, but, they formally show us the game with a completely different villain, which kind of makes me think that Venom might be playing a more background sort of villain role that you'll have to deal with later on in the game. Whereas more immediately, you're probably dealing with Kraven the Hunter as he goes around Manhattan looking for people to kill. I don't really know what Kraven's freaking like. I guess he just wants to challenge strong people. Like, I guess that's his thing in this game, is just finding strong people to challenge and kill. In the trailer, basically, you're playing as both Miles and Peter, which is sort of like a new feature with this game. I guess you could switch between the two characters during specific missions. You're playing between those two. Basically, the trailer takes place in Manhattan as Kraven and his goons are, all of his gunmen are trying to hunt down Dr. Connors, who is a lizard. What is his actual name? Is it like Croc or something? I don't even know what his actual villain name is. I just call him the Lizard. See, this is how unwoke I am when it comes to Spider-Man freaking villains. I don't even know all the villains like that, but I just call him the Lizard. But yeah, like he's hunting them down, and I guess for some reason, Peter needs him to stay alive. Dr. Connors to stay alive for a specific reason. I'm not sure if it has something to do with Venom or the Venom infection. I'm not really sure what it has to do with him. But for some reason they need to keep him alive, so they're trying to keep him safe. They're trying to take down Kraven's sort of goonies throughout the gameplay, while also trying to keep all of Manhattan from freaking falling into shambles. I mean, this was a crazy trailer. Like, things are blowing up, people are shooting all over in public. It's lots of crazy stuff going on, and you have both Miles and Peter sort of conversing with each other throughout all the action, all of the chaos, which is really cool. There's a lot of detail in the game, in the game's dialogue. Like, it looks like a very heavily immersive game for sure. And I think now that I have more of appreciation for Spider-Man as a character, I'm just going to enjoy this game a whole lot more, because it really seems like they put a lot of work into the detail, into the immersion in this game. So I am just really excited to play this. I think one thing that definitely stuck out in the trailer was that, you know, Peter with the symbiote suit, it's kind of an ass. He's kind of a little stuck up. Kind of got that Spider-Man 3 Peter sort of vibe. So, you know, it's pretty evident that you're probably going to have to deal with him in some way, whether you fight Peter Parker himself or, you know, you guys are just working to just take down Venom and I don't know, maybe Miles gets corrupted as well. I have no clue. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's pretty evident that you're probably going to end up fighting Peter at some point in the game, as he sort of spirals out of control and just mentally goes insane because of the symbiote suit. But yeah, that's pretty much what they showed us. I mean, we already know that the game comes out this fall. There was another thing they showed also when Kraven was going to Manhattan. I think it sort of did like the sort of like overworld of Manhattan, and showed like some of the other heroes that were there. I think they showed Black Cat and a couple of other characters. So it kind of made me wonder if maybe we can play those characters as well. Now, mind you, this is coming from somebody who hasn't played the first Spider-Man or the Miles Morales DLC. I don't know if any other characters are playable in those games, but I'm assuming if not, this game would be a good chance for those characters to be playable, or other characters to be playable, because it seemed like that's sort of what they were hinting at with the whole switching between Miles and Peter during the mission. And I would assume maybe there will be other missions where other characters are involved, and you could switch between them as well. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I think that would be a really cool freaking feature for this game to have, as a way to introduce other characters and, you know, keep us even more interested by allowing us to play with other characters without having to wait for, you know, weird little spin-offs surrounding other characters, weird little DLCs surrounding other characters, even though that would be smart for them to do. Some more money, you know, pulling the bucks. But it would be cool if like something like that was already instilled within the base game. But anyway, what a showcase it was. What a showcase it was. It was a ton of stuff. A ton of stuff was shown. There was even more stuff that was shown that I did not even touch on yet today, or I didn't touch on today, that wasn't even on my list. If you're into PSVR 2 stuff, they showed a handful of stuff of that as well. I think like Resident Evil 4 VR was shown. Yeah, there's some other games. Obviously, when it comes to PlayStation VR, the only thing that's ever really going to get me interested in that is if they finally announce a PlayStation Home revival or a PlayStation Home 2, sort of a PlayStation sort of metaverse. Then you have me interested. But until that happens, I don't care about no PSVR, man. I am not buying that. Like, as far as I'm concerned, VR is still a gimmick, and it's still got a ways to go. But yeah, that's pretty much everything when it comes to the PlayStation Showcase. If I gotta rate it out of 10, I'm probably gonna end up giving it a 7. I think it was, you know, it had me intrigued, but I am starved for more. I think they could have showed us a lot more. You know, we didn't hear anything about Wolverine, but again, I don't think they want to take away from Spider-Man all that much. So, you know, I think for sure we'll get another showcase sometime this year. I think a lot of people are expecting sometime after Spider-Man 2 comes out. So I don't think Spider-Man 2 has a date. Is it coming out in September? I'm not really sure, but I think October, November is probably a good bet on when we'll get the next showcase, sort of showing things off that are coming, you know, early next year into summer next year. And I think that'll probably be the next time that they really sort of fully unveil what they have in store. I think a lot of companies or developers on social media were also saying as well that Sony was definitely holding back with this presentation, and they've heard heavily from other people that there is a lot more that they've got up their sleeve, which is fine. I mean, I feel like they announced a decent amount for this showcase, and it wouldn't be wise for them to just unveil everything now. I think for sure one thing that bothers me about this showcase is that they did show a decent amount of stuff that isn't coming out this year, let's be real. And I've kind of grown more used to the Nintendo Direct format, even though like I've been irritated with it in the past. I think it's just a lot better to just show us stuff that's coming out a little bit more immediate. Because let's be real, I don't want to be shown 30 minutes of stuff that's coming out in 2024, 2025. Just keep it real, keep it recent, keep it present, and I think you've got a pretty good showcase on your hand. But anyway, that's going to do it for G-SYNC Season 0, Episode 6. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. No matter where you're listening to it on, whether that be Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, whatever, make sure you drop a like where you can. Make sure you follow where you can. Make sure you share wherever you can. And, keep it real and, keep it real and keep playing. And, next week, we're on episode 7. I can't believe it, dude. Episode 7 next week. It's going to be nuts. But, next week's episode will be a full, I don't want to say full, but it's going to be primarily Street Fighter 6. It's going to be our Street Fighter 6 sort of review episode. This one's been cooking. We'll probably do some quick news pieces for sure, but our main talking point's going to be everything Street Fighter 6. So I just wanted to mention that real quick before I sign off. So thanks for watching once again, guys. I'll see you guys next week for episode 7, and you guys take care. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your energy. And yeah, see you guys next weekend. Peace.